Hey there, super friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Tuesday, December 26th, 2017. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow. You can always reach out directly with an email to lastpointgaming@gmail.com. And as I've been announcing lately, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. Currently, this is the only content going on that channel. Hopefully that'll expand in the future, but I got what I got. Well, I hope everybody had a very happy winter-themed holiday. I don't like the way my car sounds, but it could be that it is like 23 degrees outside, and it's just cold. Cold is bad for cars. But, so this is my first cast of the week. It's the FNM Report. I've got a very, very sad FNM Report. I went 0-4 this week. So this was Boo's week to go with me. And Judge hit me up on Friday and said, hey, I got holiday stuff I gotta do. Would you mind running this week for me? Yeah, sure, no problem. So Boo and I went early, and we got our Subway for dinner. But consequently, we ended up there like way earlier than we needed to be. So we sit down and play a couple practice games, and I just, kind of stomp all over her. But, we're learning, and we're keeping track of triggers better, and so it went pretty well. Well, then her and I get paired for round one. She legit beat me. I sideboard and everything, like lost to her 0-2. And then the rest of the night, I couldn't buy a win. Oh, it was bad, guys. Brutal. Because we ran it for 4 rounds, even though we only had 8 players, that is not, should have left it at 3 rounds. She ended up getting a bye, because sometimes this happens when you have too many rounds for the players. Or it's not even that, because even sometimes when you do the 3 rounds for 6 players, you end up in a situation where the lowest, or the not lowest record, somebody with only 1 win, has played against all possible matches already, and therefore ends up with a bye. So she got a bye, and she ended up going 2-2. Good for her. and I went 0-4, and it was bad. It was very saddening, but we all have our off weeks. Bought new sleeves for my deck, because, when I start losing, that's what I do. Oh. Alright, I'm sorry if the heater sound interferes. It is 23 degrees, so I'm going to turn my heater way up to try to thaw out a little bit here. Makes me feel slightly better to hear all the other cars around me sound kind of funny. I think it's just the cold. Oh, yeah, winter has definitely set in. I feel awful for anybody that has to work outside or near outside. So yeah, that's my FNM report. What did I lose to? I lost to Mono White Vampire Monument. That's what Boo was playing. I lost to Jun, and I lost twice, I think, to Blue-White Cycling. Now, I talked a while ago about this deck, and I was like, well, this deck seems dumb. Not actually. Drake Haven triggers off of any discard. So yeah, there's some decent synergy there. It does take a little bit to get online. Either round I played against that deck, if, you know, I could have had gas in the tank, I could have got there. Maybe. I don't know. Does seem like a solid deck. It is a little bit slow. But being able to make on-the-spot blockers is pretty good. Watched Ross Merriam's Daily Digest on YouTube. I don't like that those are only one round. That kind of sucks. I'd like to, and I'll have to look up to see if anybody else has played multiple games with it, or multiple rounds with this deck. He was playing a red-white aggro that looked fairly promising. I want to take a look at it. I also want to look at this black-red aggro deck that's been running around. I've gotten really tired of playing this Ramunap Ruins deck, and like, I like winning, that's kind of cool, but I've never really loved this deck, you know? I've been playing it, and I'm like, alright, it's kind of aggressive, but it is more mid-rangey than I usually play. I would prefer something lower to the ground, but maybe the reason I've been doing so well with it is because it's a fast mid-range deck as opposed to an actual true-to-form aggro deck. And I do gotta start branching out into other archetypes, and I want nothing to do with control. So, I don't know, I may stay in the mid-range vein. And also, like, I need a new Sherpa, because damn you, Tom Ross, all advancing your career and shit. How dare you do this to me? Yeah, with him leaving the content creation field and the playing field even. Yep. But in other format news, I am one Aether Vial away from having my 5-color human deck complete. My build is slightly different, as it usually is. I want to run it through a few games on X-Mage to see kind of how I feel about the 5-color variant with the Aether Vial and everything. Luckily, Aether Vials are pretty strong in Modern. If I end up not using them in this deck, if I end up going back to a collected company strategy, we should have most of what we need to build green-blue Merfolk, which uses Aether Vial. Also, I'm pretty close to having mono-white Hate Bears, or mono-white Death and Taxes, because once you throw Thalia, Guardian of Thraben in there, it becomes Death and Taxes. I don't have Leonin Arbiters, though, I don't think. I don't know, I'd have to check. I'm not sure what set they were from. But yeah, I'm excited to have almost a Modern deck. We had 8 players at FNM this week. Now, it was the holiday weekend, but honestly, our FNM attendance has been pretty low. So, Boss had mentioned that they're considering other formats. Just, Standard is so bad right now, and Rivals isn't going to fix it. I doubt it, anyway. They gave nothing to balance the energy mechanic, and so I think energy is going to be dominating until it rotates. That's my prediction. I don't know. I would love to see them surprise me. I'd be like, well, you thought energy was busted. Check out this shit. But honestly, I don't actually know that just having something more broken than energy is healthy either. So unless they print something that's like remove all counters on target player, Because to make it energy specific at this point, any cards that they put in that just drain energy, we're going to end up in a position where Kaladesh will rotate. Like, if they wanted to do it in another set or block, like, okay, we had Kaladesh, and now this block is the response to the things that happened in Kaladesh. They should have done it in Amonkhet. Which, I mean, they did give us Solemnity, but by the time you get Solemnity online, an energy player with a decent draw has already built an energy bank. And yeah, it'll stem the bleeding, but really Energy's mid to late game involves things like Scarab God, and well, I guess Confiscation Coup would get nerfed. And Vizier of Many Faces, and Energy's late game is pretty solid. So by the time you get Solemnity down, you're already behind. I don't know that it's enough. But if they print anything to deal with it now that's specific to Energy, we're going to end up with a format at some point where Kaladesh has rotated and this other set has not. So, I don't know. We've weathered bad standard formats before, and I'm sure we'll weather them again. There have definitely been mistakes in the last 2 years that are kind of mind-blowing, and lead one to ask, how did this happen? But hindsight's 2020. I'm trying not to be too judgmental of the people involved in R&D and design and everything. When these problems showed up, that it's a kind of tall order to anticipate all the moving pieces that are going to be touching each other throughout the lifetime of a given set in Standard. Now, some of them, like the Saheeli Cat combo, those were in the same block. I mean, we're not even talking we forgot that, this set's going to be at the very end of its life in Standard when this set comes out, and this interaction's bad. That was Kaladesh and Aether Revolt. The same block. And in a block where there's only 2 sets, it's a little... it's a little surprising that got through. Now, they did have a different rotation format, and they kind of on the spot, I don't even think we made it through one rotation under the new format before they went, no, that's not going to work, and reverted it. You would think that maybe explains some of the problems we had and some of the cards that needed banned, but if you look at it, I don't think any of those bannings that happened were a result from things that wouldn't have been in Standard together at some point. So, but again, shit happens. It is hard to anticipate everything. So, yeah, hopefully after rotation it gets better, but for now, we're stuck in the energy crisis. Came right after Eldrazi Winter. So we're starting to entertain different formats for FNM. As much as I would love for us to go back to having modern FNMs, because, hey, I got a modern deck now. that means I have to get together a modern deck for Boo, which is quite a bit more daunting than slamming together a standard deck for her. But there's a lot of innovation going on in Modern. There always is, honestly. Just some of it doesn't bubble up to the top. But for FNM, might be able to go with one of these neat kind of edge line decks. I don't know. So, Standard Showdown didn't fire, unfortunately. Rockstar was the only other person who showed up, so we sat and played a match for funsies. I did redeem myself somewhat there. My deck was actually drawing well, and his was just a little too slow to stand up against what I had going on. He had good removal, which was helpful. And unfortunately, with Red being able to drop out multiple threats per turn, I ended up in a position where I just sat on a Hazoret in my hand for a while and kind of chipped in until he had to play the Vraska's Contempt and hit my Kenra with it. Like, he couldn't hold out any longer. And then I was able to drop the Hazoret the next turn, just knowing how to bait out the kill spells is part of the success in ramming up Red. It's applying enough pressure to make them deal with your smaller threats and blow their kill spells on that. But yeah, it was not a great gaming weekend for me, but some excitement yesterday on Christmas Day. My judge certification finally went through. I can breathe a little easier now. I am officially certified. So that's really exciting. I was really starting to think that there may be a reason that I was just not going to be allowed in. But no, it turns out that the holiday season is just really busy, and took the L2 who did my test just a little bit longer to enter it in. Sorry, this one's a little light and a little slower paced. So, of course, my first day back to work after having 5 days off. And it's a morning cast, so not quite woken up yet. Oh, and my Keurig died this morning, it seems, so I don't have any coffee. Hopefully I still have a coffee mug at work that I will get to make coffee when I get to work. So this week, it's really looking like I'm only going to get 4 casts in. I'm going to do one on my way home today, and then on my way to work, and on my way home from work tomorrow, and then I'm off again. And then next week, I was going to not do the morning cast on Wednesday, because that's my first day back to work after being off 6 days. But I have an appointment I have to run Thursday morning, so I'm going to do Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, and then Friday morning, Friday evening. Husband and I are going to run through the Fallout board game a little bit this week while I'm off, and see if we can get a better handle on that. So coming down the line will probably be a better, more coherent cast on the Fallout board game, talking about the mechanics and everything. Gotta find something to talk about this afternoon. I don't think there were any events this weekend. WotC limited or otherwise. So, probably listening to some streamers. I'm gonna see if I can find, more coverage of this red-white aggro deck. Hope Terran's streaming today. That would be cool. But yeah, that's the plan. Luckily, I am already at work. Wow, this drive seems to have gone very fast, and it seems like I've said very little, but again, I am not quite awake yet. It was 2 o'clock by the time I finally got to sleep last night, so getting up this morning was not my favorite. But hopefully my time at work today will go pretty fast. I'm not even in for a full day, so there we have it. As always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening. And seriously, go get yourself a cookie or something, because if you stuck through this one, it's pretty impressive. But I will talk to you all this afternoon, and thank you again.